Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Stephen Allen. Yes, we are back with another Batman 66 episode review. Today we'll be reviewing the episode The Penguin's Nest, with Burgess Meredith once again back in his role as the Penguin. So without further ado, let's get into the review. Begin our episode at Gotham City's newest, restaurant, The Penguin's Nest, run by the Penguin, who seems to have turned straight and is now finally a part of Gotham City's high society. However, few odd things happen. Bruce points out that when it comes to take their orders, they write it down on a piece of paper, and he finds it rather odd. And something else happens when the Penguin, a notorious master criminal and basically a criminal of high stakes, essentially tries to rob Anne Harriet of her jeweled bracelet. And automatically, this type of thing is enough to send the Penguin to the pen. However, Bruce is not convinced, and subtly suggests to, Gordon that they call up Batman and Robin to investigate the matter, which he does, and it's a very funny scene on how the whole thing is accomplished. It's really funny. Dick and Bruce and Aunt Harriet make their way back to Wayne Manor, in which Bruce and Dick slide down the Batpole's opening credits and get to the restaurant. During the whole thing, Batman is definitely stumped as a criminal of Penguin's high caliber pulling off this type of caper, or pulling this type of crime. He comes to the conclusion that Penguin wants to be arrested, and to prove it, he, along with Gordon, Chief O'Hara, and Robin, essentially tell the Penguin is not going to be sent to prison, but is rather off with a warning. And as a result, Penguin goes ballistic. He tries to, of course, go to prison again by throwing a pie at the police commissioner and Chief O'Hara. Though Chief O'Hara and Gordon definitely want to arrest Penguin now, because of Batman, they agree not to, though very begrudgingly. But like Batman says, control your emotions, something's odd here, and no way Penguin's gonna get away with this. I go back to the Batcave and do some investigating, realize from Penguin's last stint he was near a cellmate named Ballpoint Baxter, a very well-known counterfeiter. They then call up the Warden Crichton, and he explains, some things that could possibly happen, such as sending stuff into prison. Batman then realizes, because of people writing their names down, and with Ballpoint Baxter being a counterfeiter, he realizes the Penguin is trying to essentially make counterfeit checks to cash, essentially. And honestly, this is what I think really counterfeiting. That's something Penguin would never do. But anyway, it does happen. Batman and Robin then go back to the Penguin's nest to try and apprehend him, or at least put him into a trap. What ends up happening? Well, the Penguin is fuddled that he's not in prison, but thanks to his umbrella hinting that Batman and Robin are nearby, he then pulls off what essentially is a fake murder of one of his cronies. Though of course it doesn't go as expected, as Batman knew that it was a fake bullet and not a real murder. However, he does grant Penguin's wish to arrest him. However, he not send him to the pen, but send him to the local county jail for common criminals, which angers the Penguin even further. Just as this is happening, the Penguin's crew tried to bust the Penguin out of jail, and this results in a bat fight. And ending with the Penguin managing to make his escape with his crew, along with taking Chief O'Hara hostage. We then cut to a scene in Commissioner Gordon's office, where the Penguin has called them up and saying that he will offer a trade, that Chief O'Hara will not be harmed, and saying that he wouldn't pull off no trick. But we know Penguin. We then find out that he is setting a trap to essentially eliminate Batman and Robin, with essentially Chief O'Hara locked in a trunk case and a machine gun placed, along with wires put into the pool to electrify anyone that gets in the pool, which they plan to push the trunk containing Chief O'Hara into the pool and electrify him. And that is our cliffhanger. An ambush. Nothing really much changes in regards to the main character. I like I really can't really say much. The only real thing I can really point out is we have Warden Crichton back, though in a very brief and very small role, but it's still great to see him back nonetheless. And of course, this won't be the last time we'll see him in Season 2. I think he'll come back for at least maybe 1 or 2 more episodes, or maybe just 1 more episode. Either way, it's still great to see him back nonetheless. And I can't wait to see where we go. But of course, we need to talk about, of course, what makes these episodes so fun and entertainable to watch are the main villain. We have Burgess Meredith once again back as the Penguin. Now, automatically, him running a restaurant makes sense for his character, because he's supposed to be legitimate in higher society, and that makes sense. And I can't help if this would inspire the Penguin to run the Iceberg Lounge, which will be his main base of operation in more modern Batman comics, as one of Gotham's most notorious gang leaders. His plot is basically here to essentially steal everyone's signatures in order to do counterfeit checks. I wonder if that's a really would fit as a Penguin level threat, but I admit I'm finding it funny as he's trying to get into prison, yet Batman and Robin are preventing him from actually being sent to prison. It's a very different change of pace, and Burgess Meredith is great as always, and I absolutely love it here, and his tantrums when his plans are going awry and not in the way that he thought absolutely were fantastic, and his performance is absolutely memorable as always. A window cameo here today is another famous TV character. This is the character Large, if I recall correctly, and he was the famous butler on the Addams Family. I like how, again, in the 60s TV show, they get either famous movie characters or famous people in general, or TV characters in general, to pop up. I found it very weird, and hell, just as they're going up the window, you could hear the Addams Family theme song play on a piano. So already we're given a hint to who was going to pop out, and when he did, I was absolutely like, it was a dream come true for me. He even had him in dialogue. He was absolutely so great. For me, this is one of my favorite window cameos of the entire series. The Penguin's Nest is an okay and fun episode. I kind of feel it was a step down from when the Penguin ran for mayor, but again, I liked certain concepts that came from this episode, and you got to question yourself: would this affect or inspire the more modern interpretations of the Penguins that would follow? It's an honest, legit question, and I also found it to be quite fun and entertainable, despite the fact I felt that it was slightly a little bit not on par to what Penguins used to pulling off. The death trap here is essentially a setup to essentially for the Penguin to gun Batman down. I absolutely like it because it's different and it's not a normal death trap than we're used to. And there we have it, The Penguin's Nest. For me, a fun and okay episode. And you will get some enjoyment out of it. But we'll see how the second part picks us up. Join us next time in the same Steven hour and the same Steven channel, ladies and gentlemen. So long for now.